If you want to hear more marijuana podcasting about the worlds of legislation, regulation, and lobbying, then you need to check out our new podcast, Weed Wonks, which you can find over at weedwonks.com, with Wonks spelled W-O-N-K-S. This episode of Marijuana Today Daily is brought to you by our friends over at Cureleaf, one of the nation's top multi-state cannabis operators with 49 local dispensaries, 14 cultivation sites, and 13 processing facilities, serving up more than 165,000 registered medical marijuana patients. Check them out over at cureleaf.com, spelled C-U-R-A-L-E-A-F. Good morning, Marijuana Nation. It's Friday, October 11th, 2019, and you're tuned in to episode 817 of Marijuana Today Daily. I'm your host, Shay Gunther, and I'll be walking you through today's marijuana news and headlines. As always, we have a full and busy day of cannabis news in our hands, so let's jump right into it. We lead off today with a big national headline concerning two associates of President Donald Trump's criminal lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, who were recently arrested while attempting to leave the country on charges that they had used foreign money to try to influence elections to benefit Trump and the corrupt Republican Party. It's the top of our story today because the two Trumpsters apparently had tried to secure a legal marijuana business license in Nevada, one of the states that they're accused of illegally operating in. The two Trump associates, Lev Parnas and Igor Furman, were allegedly working to pressure Ukraine officials to investigate former Vice President Joe Biden to harm his chances in next year's elections. But on the way, decided to also put in for a Nevada cannabis business license. This story's pretty dense and convoluted, but in short, the two were ultimately unable to get into the industry because they missed the deadline to apply by a couple of months. Stupid Watergate indeed. David Downs has a good cannabis-focused take on this one. Swing over to Leafly for the full dive in. California marijuana cultivators and processors are in danger of losing a lot of money this week as large swaths of the northern part of the state are plunged into mandatory electricity blackouts, as the utility company PG&E has been working to fix power lines brought down by bad weather. Last year, California was ravaged by wildfires thought to have sprung up around downed power lines, so this year PG&E has been closing down large zones of California while checking things out. It's also getting a lot of criticism for this action, as there hasn't been really a lot of clear word given on where, when, and for how long the electricity outages would last. And PG&E hasn't exactly bent over backwards to invest in infrastructure improvements that could prevent fires while also keeping people's lights on. The danger here to legal cannabis is the scores of cultivation rooms in Northern California with growing plants that rely entirely on electricity, as well as freezers where processors and farmers are storing up frozen marijuana for later processing, as I talked about on a recent show. Best of luck to everyone dealing with that. Our final top story today and for the week brings us down to Texas, where just a week or so into a planned 1-month open window for accepting applications for new medical marijuana dispensaries, the process has been closed down by the state for no given reason. The Texas Department of Public Safety was handling the application process that opened up on October 1st and that was to have run till November 1st, but a swing to its website now shows a short announcement reading simply, quote, "The department's compassionate use program is not accepting applications at this time," unquote. Not much more is known about what's going on there right now, so we'll just have to keep an eye out. Those are our top stories for today. It's time for Marijuana Today Daily Headlines Blitz. Before we blitz out in headlines, let's quickly thank our sponsor, Cureleaf, one of the nation's top multi-state cannabis operators with 49 local dispensaries, 14 cultivation sites, and 13 processing facilities, serving up more than 165,000 registered medical marijuana patients. Cureleaf has been lucky to have the opportunity to operate in a lot of states with mandatory vertical integration, which means everyone at Cureleaf has had to master the entire cannabis production chain, from cultivation through processing and dispensing. That's resulted in a company with fine-tuned operations from start to end. You can discover just how good the results are yourself by finding the closest Cureleaf shop to you and making a visit. Just open up cureleaf.com, spelled C-U-R-A-L-E-A-F, where you can also learn more about Cureleaf's other product lines like Yuku Craft Cannabis and Cureleaf Hemp. Big thanks to everyone over at Cureleaf for supporting today's news. All right, time for the Blitz. Arkansas's legal medical marijuana industry has been up and running since May, and since then has pulled in a cool $12.3 million in sales, which Marijuana Business Daily is pegging will put it on track for a total of $15 to $20 million this year. There are 9 medical marijuana dispensaries open in Arkansas right now, with 23 more licensed entities that have not yet been approved to open. The state has just over 24,000 registered medical marijuana patients. Canadian marijuana company Hexo just reported that its fiscal fourth quarter results were far short of market expectations, coming in around $10 million under the expected $24.8 million Canadian at between $14.5 and $16.5 million. The company blamed general regulatory uncertainty and the limited products that are being allowed to be brought to market in Canada's different provinces, each of which is free to develop its own legal marijuana program. Hexo's stock fell sharply on the news. Quebec government officials say they will appeal a recent court decision that threw out parts of the province's ban on marijuana home grow. A provincial Supreme Court justice ruled early last month on the matter, saying that federal law allowing for home grow had precedence over any kind of province-level restriction. The Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission approved yesterday 4 companies that are licensed to provide training programs for people working in the state's legal marijuana industry. Massachusetts is developing what it is calling the Responsible Vendor Training Program to train people working in dispensaries on the best practices for selling cannabis. The 3 to 5 hour course will culminate in an online test, which, after passing, will certify the test taker to work in a dispensary. 12 companies in all applied, and yesterday the first 4 were voted on and approved at the Commission's regular weekly meeting. The other 8 applicants were asked to provide further information, so it's possible they could be joining the program at a future date. Speaking of the Massachusetts Cannabis Control Commission, we have a good opinion piece on the ongoing vape scare over at Leafly by Commission member Shalene Title, who's also an on-hiatus regular on our weekly podcast, Marijuana Today. Shalene wrote this one along with Michael S. Sina, a doctor, lawyer, and research fellow at Harvard Medical School, pointing out all the good and valid reasons why banning vaporizers is exactly the wrong way to tackle this kind of situation. I think the one that jumped out at me the most was the fact that you can't recall illicit products, so any kind of ban on legal vaporizers is just going to leave behind a market flooded with potentially dangerous illicit market options. If you're not exactly clear on this storyline, this would be a good one to read in full. As always, we have all the news we cover linked to on our website at mjtodaydaily.com. Kyle Yeager over Marijuana Moments picked up on a nice moment that just took place in Mexico's federal legislative chambers as Ana Lucia Riojas Martinez, a pro-legalization lawmaker, gave a present of a rolled cannabis joint to Mexico's Secretary of the Interior, Olga Sanchez Cordero, who took it with a smile and a hug while speaking on the floor of the Mexican Chamber of Deputies. Mexico is currently working to meet a deadline of this month to legalize marijuana, a deadline that was imposed by Supreme Court decision and one that it appears to be on track to hit. There's a lot of background and context to this, which you can find along with the video of the cannabis gifting over at Marijuana Moment. And finally for today and for the week, the Washington Post took a good look at a legal cannabis cultivation operation in Maryland that appears to be the first large-scale outdoor grow on the East Coast, with more than an acre of outdoor plants being harvested last week by licensed grower Culta. There's a lot of depth to the general storyline of indoor cannabis versus outdoor, with various costs and quality control concerns swirling up, so it's probably not a bad idea to give this one a read today. Those are the headlines and news for the day. I'll be back with you again Tuesday morning with another information-packed episode of Marijuana Today Daily. But in the meantime, if you have any stories to share or feedback to give, zip us an email to headlines@mjtodaydaily.com. And while you're clicking around the interwebs, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com to find links to all the news we cover. Thanks to our sponsor, Cureleaf, and to all of our awesome patron listeners for the support that makes this show possible. To join the illustrious ranks of the patron listeners yourself, swing over to our website at mjtodaydaily.com and click on that big blue button at the top of the page that says Become a Patron. I'm your host, Shay Gunther. Thanks for tuning in, starting your day with marijuana today.
One take, Shay. One take.